So today I'm going to talk to you guys about the AP Environmental Science exam. We just got a whole bunch of updates. You'll probably get an email from the school sometime this week, but I wanted to touch base with you because there's some specifics in here that you probably won't hear on a blanket email. So AP Environmental Science, it's units 1 through 7. I know I've posted the units that they use before, but I'll go ahead and show you those in a second. So the exam, sorry about that, is going to be on Monday, May 18th at 3 p.m. That's Central Standard Time. I'm assuming you guys are all still in the Central Time Zone and haven't jumped ship and moved somewhere. So 3 p.m. You have to log on at that time. I'll talk about how all that's going to work in a second. So units 1 through 7, what does it include? So cycles, biomes, trophic levels, biodiversity, populations, so K and R selected species, carrying capacity, age structure diagrams, those are those pyramids, right? Fertility rate, demographic transition. Then we've got atmosphere, soil, geography, climate, El Nino. We've got overfishing, agriculture, ecological footprint, aquaculture, so fishing, all of that kind of stuff. 6 is resources, energy, so that's what we're doing right now. That's what I'm teaching you, renewable and non-renewable resources, and then air pollution, noise pollution, acid rain. What will not be on there is aquatic and terrestrial pollution, so eutrophication, Chapter 17, all the health, solid waste disposal, sewage treatment, LD50 and the dose response curve, and global warming, endangered species, invasive species. Okay. So what will the test look like? It is 25 minutes of a free response question, and then they give you 5 minutes to submit your answer. You have to submit your answer within that 5 minutes, and I'll talk to you about how you submit it. And then you have a 15-minute FRQ and 5 minutes to submit an answer. So normally in class, our FRQs are about 23 minutes. So this will be, the first FRQ will be the normal one, and then this one will be a little bit shorter. So it's 50 minutes total, so it's not a lot of time. So what can you use to take the tests? You can use a phone, an iPad, a tablet, a laptop, a desktop. I would recommend a computer or something where you can type easily, but it's whatever device you want to use, you can. However, whatever device you log on with, you have to finish the test on that device. So I can't log in on my phone and then switch over to my computer halfway through. That will invalidate your test. If you need technology or a computer, you can contact the College Board and they will provide you with something, or you can contact me or the district and we will get you what you need. They also just came out and said you will not need a calculator, which means there's probably not going to be calculations. Or the only other thing I can think of is they might have you set up a calculation but not solve it. But we're not going to focus too much on calculations because they said no calculator would be needed. So how do you enter in your answers? You can either type your answers in. So if I'm on a computer, I can type them in. There will be little boxes where you can type in your answers. That's what I think would be easiest. You can also handwrite your answers, and then you have to take a picture with your phone and then submit it using your phone. I think there's a lot more potential for glitches here, but I understand if you're more comfortable doing it that way, that's totally fine. So what can you use? You can use your textbook. You can use your notebook, your binder, you can use Google, okay? You can use any resources you want. So here's the problem with that. They said that they're making the test Google proof. They're literally going and looking up all of the answers that they're asking to see if you can find them on Google. And they're trying to make the test so you can't find any of the answers on Google. So a question on a free response, a lot of times there'll be a question like, describe how ocean acidification occurs, or describe what a carbon footprint is. That would be something you could easily look up on Google and get the answer. They're not going to have any of those types of questions. You cannot talk to anybody else. You can't chat with anybody else, email anybody else, talk to anybody else while you're doing the exam. So they're actually going to send us a copy of your exams, and we are going to be looking to make sure that you did not cheat with anybody else. We're going to be making sure that it looks like your own handwriting. They're going to do writing analysis to make sure that you're the one that took the exam and you didn't hire somebody else to go take the exam. So they're actually going to give us your exams. They're going to keep them to grade them as well, but we're going to get a copy to make sure that nobody talked to anybody else while they were taking the exam. So let's talk a little bit about these free response. So the first free response, 25 minutes at 60%. This is like a normal free response length. It is design and investigation, okay? Now, we haven't done a ton of these. We did some at the beginning. We'll review lots of these, but this is a brand new type of question that they introduced to the AP exam this year. So there aren't any really previous free response questions that are examples of this because they just made this brand new thing this year. And this was going to be on our AP exam before they changed it to online. But again, there aren't a lot of examples. But we're going to go over, I'm assuming that would talk about, create a hypothesis, talk about the controls, independent, dependent variable, all of that stuff, okay? And then the 15-minute FRQ question is 40%. This is analyze a problem and propose a solution. This is like most of the free response questions that we do in class. A lot of times they'll ask for a solution. So this is kind of like a typical one that you guys have already been doing. And I'll give you an example of what this might look like, but they might ask you about soil salinization, right? And then how could we remedy this problem? And again, remember, it's got to be Google proof. So these are going to be a little bit different than the FRQs you've been doing, but I think you guys are going to be able to do just fine. So I put this up. This is an old FRQ. This is my thoughts on what the exam will look like. I personally think there's going to be a graph. Why? Because you can answer a lot of questions or ask a lot of questions about a graph that are not easily Googleable, which is not a word, but you can't easily Google them. Okay, so let's look at the questions here. Using the data, explain one cause for the change in per capita waste generation from 2000 to 2012. This is such a specific thing, and it's talking about between these dates. So I would expect that this would be a question that they might ask, right? You can't easily Google something like this. You're not going to get a straight answer. Let's look at the next one. Calculate the percent increase in total generation. They said no calculators. So either they're going to have super simple math, which might be true, or they're not going to include calculations. So I would guess that they would not include this because it is a calculation, okay? Let's look at the other two. The other two say identify one disadvantage of waste incineration and identify one disadvantage of waste disposal in landfills. Now, these are a little more easy to find on Google, right? Disadvantages of waste incineration. It'll probably pull up air pollution and release of, particulate matter, all of those different types of things. Disadvantage of waste disposal in landfills. Probably pull you up a whole website on it. So that's why I'm leaning towards no. There won't be that type of question on there. So what are they going to ask? They're probably going to have some kind of a graph, right? It's going to be on something specific. Right? This is MSW. It's not just waste in general. It might be on a specific animal population. And then they might ask you what might cause this population to decline. And if you were to Google, like, what could cause the piping plover to decline, you might get something, but you also might not. So I think it's going to be very specific. There's probably going to be a graphic, probably not going to be calculations. And you'll probably just have to come up with some solutions on your own. So we'll do lots of practice. I think you guys will be absolutely fine. There's about 6 weeks left. We're going to finish up renewable energy, and then we'll do lots of practicing. And you guys, it's open notes. I think you'll be fine. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, have a fabulous day. You don't have any work for today, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.